Hello everyone and welcome to English Pod. My name is Marco.
My name is Catherine, and Marco, today we're talking about a very important part of daily life.
That's right. Today we're going to take a look at a lesson about technology and something that has become so popular and part of our everyday lives that it's necessary for us to acknowledge it in English.
That's right. So we're talking about cellular phones, but not just cellular phones, something you can do and that many people often do on their cellular phones.
That's right. So before we get into that, let's listen to the dialogue, try to understand what it's all about, and we'll be back in a bit.
Why didn't you text me last night?
What? I sent you 3 or 4 messages.
I didn't get any of them. I was waiting for you to text me the address of where the party was and I never got your message.
Why didn't you just call? I hate sending SMS messages.
Well, because I didn't have any credit on my phone. I used it all up this month.
I thought you had an unlimited SMS plan.
I do, but if I don't have any credit in my phone, it won't let me call or send messages.
No wonder you didn't get my texts. All right, we're back. So now let's take a look at language takeaway.
Language takeaway.
First up on language takeaway, we have the verb that is the focus of today's dialogue, to text.
That's right. So this is a verb in this case, to text. Text me. Why didn't you text me?
Why didn't you text me? Now remember that text means other things in other situations.
Right.
Here it's a verb. It's a very new word as a verb from the last maybe 15 years or so with cell phones.
So that's actually what it means, is to send a text message via cell phone. So you send a message.
That's right. So you actually write the message, right? It's not a call. When I call you, I talk to you. When you text someone, you actually write a message.
Right.
It's very short, and then you send it, and the other person can read it.
Right. So instead of saying, why didn't you send me a text message last night, we just say, why didn't you text me?
All right. Now, another word that we often hear about texts is the noun messages or message. So I sent you 3 or 4 messages.
That's right. So when we're talking about texting someone, what we're doing is sending a message.
A text message.
A text message. That's right, because we can send a voice message.
That's right. So voice is me talking. Hi, Marco, it's Catherine. How are you doing?
Right.
But a text message is actually words. I write them out. I don't say them.
That's right. So, but then we could actually use the verb form as well. So we can say to text, or we can say to message. Why didn't you message me last night?
That's right. So this is more slang, to message someone, because text is very common and everyone uses it. But normally young people say, hey, why didn't you message me? Or aren't you ever going to message me?
Right. Or stop messaging in class.
That's right. So these are verbs to text and to message.
That's right. Now, if we see down towards the middle of the dialogue, we see that the person hates sending SMS messages. So it's kind of, explaining already what's been said, because you have SMS messages, and this abbreviation stands for
Short Message Service. Short S, message M, service S. So short message service. But most people around the world say SMS.
Right. So they say, oh, send me an SMS. Or send me an SMS message, which again, like we see in the dialogue, it's kind of contradictory because we're already saying short message service message.
Yeah, but most people don't know what SMS means. So they just say, hey, send me an SMS message, or send me a text message, or I didn't get your SMS.
That's right. Now, lastly, we didn't get the SMS because we didn't have any credit on the phone.
All right. Now, credit is an important word here. It's a noun. It's a thing. We have credit or we don't have credit. And it's important to remember that credit stands for money. All right. So maybe I buy $10 of credit for my cell phone. And that means I can send many, many messages. But when I have 0 credit, I can't send any messages.
That's right. So this is important because usually in many places, you have to have this amount of money in your phone in order to be able to talk and send messages. So this money that you have is called credit. So you can say, I don't have any credit on my phone.
That's right. And it's basically a way of having money without having real money.
Right.
You actually buy credit from your cell phone provider, like AT&T, or if you have China Telecom, that's who you buy credit from.
That's right. Very good. Let's listen to the dialogue again, and we'll be back with Fluency Builder.
Why didn't you text me last night?
What? I sent you 3 or 4 messages.
I didn't get any of them. I was waiting for you to text me the address of where the party was and I never got your message.
Why didn't you just call? I hate sending SMS messages.
Well, because I didn't have any credit on my phone. I used it all up this month.
I thought you had an unlimited SMS plan.
I do, but if I don't have any credit in my phone, it won't let me call or send messages.
No wonder you didn't get my texts. All right, we've prepared 3 phrases for you. Let's start with those now in Fluency Builder.
Fluency Builder.
So we're still talking about credit here. Now, when you have credit, you can use it. But if you use all of it, we say you use it all up.
Right, we used it up. To use something up.
So here, what does the up do? Because we can use something, like I'm using my toothbrush.
Right.
But to use up is different.
Right, it means that you finished it. It no longer exists.
So it's completed.
Right.
I had credit. I used it up. That means it is gone.
Right, exactly. So for example, maybe paint. You're painting a room and you used up all the white paint. Right? So you used all the paint. You have no more paint.
It's gone. So it's all used up. It's a very important phrase to remember. It's used up.
That's right. Now going back to SMS and messages, the question came up and said, I thought you had an unlimited SMS plan.
All right, so an unlimited SMS plan. We know what SMS means, but first of all, let's talk about a plan. Because when we talk about cell phones, it's important to remember that some people buy credit. That's how they get service. But some people buy plans.
Right.
This is very popular, by the way, in America. This is how most phones are.
Right.
What is a plan?
So basically, it's just like any other service, like maybe internet. You pay a monthly fee and you get a certain amount of this service. So maybe you pay $50 and you get 100 minutes to use on your cell phone and unlimited amount of SMS.
All right, so basically my cell phone provider, AT&T or Telecom, they will say, for this price, you get this much time, this many messages each month.
Right.
And you have to keep paying it. Normally it's 1 year or 2 years that you have to commit. You can't say, nah, I don't want this anymore.
Right, exactly.
But the important thing here is that the person bought an unlimited SMS plan.
So this key word there, unlimited, means it has no limit. It means you can use it as much as you want.
So unlimited, no limits, that means there's you can do it as much as you want.
Right.
You can have unlimited calls. You get an unlimited SMS. You can have unlimited data, for example.
Exactly. Very good. And we end it with saying, well, no wonder you didn't get my text. Well, because he didn't have credit. No wonder you didn't get it.
All right, no wonder is a great and very important phrase, and it's something we say when we finally understand why something happened.
Right. We realize what happened.
So, Marco, gosh, why didn't you respond to my calls?
Well, I didn't have any credit.
No wonder. That means, oh, now I understand. No wonder.
Exactly. So it's a great phrase to start off your sentence by explaining or letting the other person know that you finally understand why this happened, or you understand what the situation was. All right, so let's take a listen to the dialogue one last time.
Why didn't you text me last night?
What? I sent you 3 or 4 messages.
I didn't get any of them. I was waiting for you to text me the address of where the party was and I never got your message.
Why didn't you just call? I hate sending SMS messages.
Well, because I didn't have any credit on my phone. I used it all up this month.
I thought you had an unlimited SMS plan.
I do, but if I don't have any credit in my phone, it won't let me call or send messages.
No wonder you didn't get my texts. All right, we're back. So, talking about messages and everything, do you send a lot of messages? Because I know some people who send like 100 messages a day. Well, they're usually teenagers.
Yeah, I don't send 100 messages a day. I mostly use messages. I don't call people very often. I find that messages are easier and cheaper, actually.
Right.
But I can't imagine sending 1,000 messages a day or 100 messages a day. Your thumbs would get so tired.
Well, I remember, well, this is back in the day when you had the little Nokia phones and you didn't have the touch screens and all this stuff. I did have some friends who were very, very agile with sending these messages, and some of them did send, 100, 200 messages a day, because it was that new way of communicating with people.
Yeah, it's very exciting. And I will also mention, and this is something that my parents complain about, there is something in America, and I'm sure in England as well, called text talk or text speak. And so because messages are short,
right,
people have started to change the way they spell or write words.
Right.
So instead of saying FOR, this is for you, they write, this is number for you.
Right, exactly.
And it's so funny because you see these normal words, but written in a strange new way.
Yeah.
And people who are older, I think my parents' age, and I do too to some extent, really don't like it because it's so different.
Right. It's especially very popular with the younger generation because it translates now to all sorts of messaging. So before, as you say, it was because of the limitations, the amount of characters you could send in a message. But now it's just become something that people have gotten in the habit of doing. So, for example, instead of writing skate, like skateboard, they would write SK and then the number 8. So skate.
That's right. Skate. It's so strange. And I know it actually happens in other languages as well.
Yeah, a lot.
Italian, they do it a lot, and Spanish, I'm sure, as well. But we call it text speak because it's very, very short and kind of abbreviated.
But it's a problem, from my understanding, is because these younger generations, they use it so much that they really kind of start forgetting the proper grammar and proper spelling. So even you will find, I saw a report the other day, essays or reports handed in with these terrible spelling mistakes.
That's awful. Well, I hope that people are learning grammar and spelling, especially non-native learners of English. So
right.
If you're doing homework for your English class, don't use these, but it might be interesting to look them up. So let us know, though. Do you text message people? Do you send these text messages? Do you have SMS service in your country? Let us know. Our website is englishpod.com.
All right. We'll see you guys there.
Bye.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to English Pod. My name is Marco.
My name is Catherine, and today we're talking about eating food and certain foods that people don't eat.
That's right. So today we have special diets. We're going to talk all about being a vegetarian or a vegan, and we're going to explain all these words when we come back. So now let's just listen to the dialogue.
Hey, Julie. Do you want to go grab something to eat?
Sure. What do you feel like having?
I really feel like having a big, juicy steak.
Oh, okay. I don't eat meat, but that's fine. I'm sure wherever we're going, they will have other options, right?
I didn't know you were a vegetarian.
I'm not. I'm a vegan.
A what?
A vegan. I don't eat or use any animal-based products. I don't wear leather, eat eggs, drink milk, or anything that comes from an animal. I used to be a pescatarian before, which basically means you don't eat meat, but still have fish and seafood.
Wow, that's interesting. It must be tough.
It's a bit difficult to find vegetarian-friendly restaurants sometimes, but since more and more people are vegetarians or vegans nowadays, it's getting a bit less difficult.
All right, we're back. So now probably a lot of you have an idea of what it means to be a vegetarian, but let's take a look at that word and many more on Language Takeaway.
Language Takeaway.
So a vegetarian is a noun. I am a vegetarian.
Yeah.
Vegetarian is a noun. It's a person. You say, I am a vegetarian. He is a vegetarian. And in this case, a vegetarian person does not eat meat. So
That's
no
right.
chicken, no beef, none of that stuff.
That's right. So as you can see, it has the prefix veget, like vegetable. So that's what they eat. They just eat vegetables.
And it's a little bit hard to say what vegans don't all... Sorry. It's a little bit hard to say what all vegetarians do or don't eat because some people have different rules.
That's right.
Some people eat eggs, some people don't. But there is something that is a little bit different from a vegetarian. It's called a vegan. And this person has many, many rules about what he can or cannot eat.
Right. So a vegetarian basically does not eat meat. A vegan, as we saw in our dialogue, doesn't wear leather, for example, doesn't wear leather shoes or a jacket, or use or eat anything that comes from an animal.
That's right. So no eggs, right? No foods that might have any animal products in them. So vegans often try to find foods at the grocery store that come from natural products that are not animal based. And so there has to be a symbol on the back of the box or the jar that says that it's vegan.
That's right. So in that case, they don't drink milk, they don't eat eggs, nothing that you can think of that comes from an animal. But on the other hand, this person used to be a pescatarian. So this is another type of person that has a special diet, very much like a vegetarian.
A pescatarian is a person who is a vegetarian, but who also eats fish. And so maybe I'm a pescatarian because I don't consider fish to be animals.
Okay.
So I don't eat lamb, I don't eat chicken, but I do eat fish. I'm a pescatarian.
All right. So a vegetarian does not eat fish or any type of meat, the same as a vegan, but a pescatarian does eat maybe shrimp and fish and any type of animal from the sea. Okay, and well, that brings us up to our next word. A pescatarian will eat seafood.
Seafood is a word we use to describe animals that come from the sea. So not just fish. Also, like you said, shrimp and lobster. You could even think of really delicious food like a seafood pasta or seafood salad, octopus, things like that.
Okay, so you got clams, you have oysters. Anything that comes from the sea is considered seafood. Right?
That's right. And our last word in language takeaway is an adjective we heard at the end of the dialogue. Our character said, it must be tough.
Right.
Okay, now tough is an interesting word because in English it has a few different meanings. But what was the meaning of the word tough in today's dialogue?
In today's dialogue, when the person said it must be tough, it's basically saying it must be difficult. It must be difficult to be a vegetarian.
Right, so it's a hard situation. You could also say, oh man, this homework is really tough.
That means it's hard, it's difficult. All right, great. So we've taken a look at a lot of key words there. Why don't we take a break, listen to our dialogue again, and we'll be back in a bit.
Hey, Julie. Do you want to go grab something to eat?
Sure. What do you feel like having?
I really feel like having a big, juicy steak.
Oh, okay. I don't eat meat, but that's fine. I'm sure wherever we're going, they will have other options, right?
I didn't know you were a vegetarian.
I'm not. I'm a vegan.
A what?
A vegan. I don't eat or use any animal-based products. I don't wear leather, eat eggs, drink milk, or anything that comes from an animal. I used to be a pescatarian before, which basically means you don't eat meat, but still have fish and seafood.
Wow, that's interesting. It must be tough.
It's a bit difficult to find vegetarian-friendly restaurants sometimes, but since more and more people are vegetarians or vegans nowadays, it's getting a bit less difficult.
All right, now we've prepared 3 phrases for you. Let's take a look at those now on Fluency Builder.
Fluency Builder.
So there's a very interesting and very, very common phrase at the beginning of today's dialogue that we use all the time in English. This is to grab something to eat. The character says, hey, Julie, you want to go grab something to eat?
So taking that as a phrase, we are inviting someone to go eat something.
That's right. So I could say, hey, do you want to go eat something? Or I could say, hey, do you want to go grab something to eat?
Okay, and the verb grab is to take or to hold in your hand. So you want to go grab something to eat is basically that.
Right, but don't be confused because grabbing normally means holding with your hand, but to grab something to eat generally just means, hey, would you like to go eat something with me?
Okay. And of course, we want to go grab something to eat, and the guy says, I really feel like having a big juicy steak. So we feel like having a steak.
This is very spoken English. So remember when you're talking to your friends, this is okay. But maybe if you're writing something, it's not as good. But I feel like a steak means I want to eat a steak.
Right.
It means,
it doesn't mean you are a steak.
no, I don't feel like a steak, like a piece of meat. But I do want to eat a piece of, I do want to eat a steak. And so I feel like having, or I feel like a steak. These are both acceptable in spoken English.
So you basically feel like doing something, or you feel like eating something. For example, if we're going to have dinner, you can say, I feel like having Italian food.
Yeah, I don't feel like having Italian food tonight. I feel like having Mexican food. And I also feel like watching a movie.
Exactly. So great ways of using feel like and then a verb like having or watching a movie. Now getting back to the vegetarian, the vegan aspect of our dialogue, we saw that the girl explained how she doesn't eat or use any animal-based products. So these three words, animal-based products.
So product is basically anything that will be sold or bought. Animal-based is a way to describe a product. So some products have animal products in them, right? So, for example, my shoes are an animal-based product because they are leather, and leather comes from cows, which are animals.
So you're basically saying that they have something from an animal. They are made up of that something that comes from an animal, like leather shoes.
Exactly. And it's not just shoes, it's also shampoo or some of the foods that you eat, like in jars and cans. And so it's important if you're a vegan to look on the side of the can or the side of the box and see, is this an animal-based product? Are there animal products in this?
Right. Okay. A lot of interesting things in this dialogue today. Why don't we listen to it one last time and we'll be back.
Hey, Julie. Do you want to go grab something to eat?
Sure. What do you feel like having?
I really feel like having a big, juicy steak.
Oh, okay. I don't eat meat, but that's fine. I'm sure wherever we're going, they will have other options, right?
I didn't know you were a vegetarian.
I'm not. I'm a vegan.
A what?
A vegan. I don't eat or use any animal-based products. I don't wear leather, eat eggs, drink milk, or anything that comes from an animal. I used to be a pescatarian before, which basically means you don't eat meat, but still have fish and seafood.
Wow, that's interesting. It must be tough.
It's a bit difficult to find vegetarian-friendly restaurants sometimes, but since more and more people are vegetarians or vegans nowadays, it's getting a bit less difficult.
All right, so talking about vegan, vegetarians, pescatarians, it seems like these diets or these lifestyles are more and more popular, but as we saw in the dialogue, it can be a little bit difficult, especially in maybe in countries where it's not so popular to have these diets.
Definitely. I think that in places where you can find vegan and vegetarian products very easily, being a vegetarian becomes much more easy because you have more options.
Right.
But if you're living in a country where it's very hard to eat a meal without having meat, then you might just eat potatoes every day. And that will get very, very difficult and very boring.
Well, that's one of the main arguments or the main concerns with people is that even though you can argue that you can get all the vitamins or many of the vitamins and minerals from nuts and from vegetables, it's still not healthy to completely exclude from your diet maybe sources like of proteins like meat or eggs or dairy products.
That's right. And so in America, for example, it's very easy to find supplements. You can take vitamins like calcium, and you can have pills that will give you some protein, and you can find all sorts of exotic vegetables that will help you supplement your diet. But in a place like China, for example, I think it can be a lot harder to find those products and to find those supplements. And so being a vegan, especially, or a vegetarian poses a lot more challenges.
Especially, I think, with what you mentioned, that products are usually labeled, where they tell you if they have any animal-based products in there. Whereas in other countries, it's probably not labeled, and it's a little bit, even things like getting the fat-free things are a little bit more difficult in other countries, like, for example, China.
That's right. So we would like to know, are there many vegans or vegetarians in your country? And if there are, do you think it's hard for them to buy food? Why or why not? Let us know. Our website is englishpod.com.
All right, we'll see you guys there.
Bye.
Bye. Welcome to English Pod. My name is Marco.
My name is Catherine, and today we're talking about a very, very important part of conversations in English.
That's right. Today we are introducing a new series all about small talk.
Okay, what is small talk, Marco?
Well, small talk is just everyday conversation about maybe the weather, about how you are, what's new in your life, etc. It's just plain conversation.
So something very simple and usually pretty quick. It's what you say to people when you bump into them or when you see them at a party. So let's take a listen to today's dialogue and find out just what kind of small talk we have. Hey, Michelle, this is my friend James. He's visiting Shanghai from New York.
Oh, hi, James. Nice to meet you. So, are you visiting for business or pleasure?
Well, actually, a little of both. I'm meeting some business contacts, but I'm also taking some Mandarin classes, too.
Oh, that's cool. How's it going?
Well, I'm finding the classes pretty tough, actually. But I'm having a great time in Shanghai. It's really an amazing city.
It sure is. Are you staying for long?
Only 2 weeks, unfortunately. I wish I could stay longer, but...
Well, listen, if you need someone to show you the sights, then just call me. I'm having a little get-together at my new apartment next week, so if you want to drop by then...
That sounds great. I'd love to. Let me take down your number, Michelle.
All right, we're back. So now let's take a look at a lot of great phrases that we've picked out for you this time on Fluency Builder.
Fluency Builder.
All right, so we've got 2 fluency builders today, so we're going to be exploring a lot of different phrases. We've got 3 now. The first one is very, very common. You hear this phrase, nice to meet you.
Right, so obviously if you meet someone new, you're introduced by your friend or something, you can just say, hi, nice to meet you.
All right, so nice to meet you too. That's what we say afterwards because it sounds very funny if you say it 2 times. So
right.
Hi, it's nice to meet you. Oh, it's nice to meet you too.
Right, exactly. So she went on, this girl Michelle, to ask if he is visiting Shanghai for business or pleasure.
All right, this is an important difference, something that we often talk about in small talk. You can travel for business. That means business trips. Or you can travel to see different sights and have fun. That's called pleasure. And so we often hear this phrase, business or pleasure.
Right. So if someone comes to your country, you say, so are you here for business or pleasure?
Oh, I'm here on business. Or I'm here to see the sights.
Okay, very good. And so James is actually in Shanghai doing both things. He's on a business trip, but he's also taking Mandarin classes. And so Michelle went on to say, that's great. How's it going?
All right, you're going to hear this all the time in English. We say, how's it going to our friends and family. I wouldn't say it in a formal occasion with my boss or with my teacher, but it's very casual, very informal, and it's a way to ask how things are.
Right.
So you're taking classes. How's it going?
Exactly. So this basically means how are the classes going? How is everything?
Right. Or you could say, oh, Marco, I haven't seen you in a while. How is it going?
And that's another way of saying hi to someone or saying, how are you?
How are you? How have you been recently?
So there are two differences in that phrase there. In this case, Michelle is asking how the Mandarin classes are going. How is it? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it difficult? Is it Is it easy, etc. But if you say to someone, "Hi, I haven't seen you for such a long time. How's it going?" That's more of a "how are you" type thing.
That's like, how's your life going?
Exactly.
So just think about what you're talking about. Are you talking about general situations like a person's life, or are you talking about maybe lessons or class or job?
That's right. Okay, so we're going to take a break here. Let's listen to the dialogue again, and we'll be back in a little bit with more phrases.
Hey, Michelle, this is my friend James. He's visiting Shanghai from New York.
Oh, hi, James. Nice to meet you. So, are you visiting for business or pleasure?
Well, actually, a little of both. I'm meeting some business contacts, but I'm also taking some Mandarin classes too.
Oh, that's cool. How's it going?
Well, I'm finding the classes pretty tough, actually. But I'm having a great time in Shanghai. It's really an amazing city.
It sure is. Are you staying for long?
Only 2 weeks, unfortunately. I wish I could stay longer, but...
Well, listen, if you need someone to show you the sights, then just call me. I'm having a little get-together at my new apartment next week, so if you want to drop by then...
That sounds great. I'd love to. Let me take down your number, Michelle.
All right, we're back. So now let's take a look at Fluency Builder Part 2.
So Michelle at the end of today's dialogue says, if you need someone to show you the sights, then just call me. All right, so to show someone the sights, we talked about this a little bit earlier with that word pleasure. What does it mean to show someone the sights, Marco?
So basically, the sights, we're talking about the different attractions of a city or place. So the museums, maybe different buildings or different attractions in general. What is there to sightsee?
Okay, so we are in Paris, Marco, and I say, hey, I'd love to show you the sights. What do you expect to see?
So maybe we would go to the Eiffel Tower. Maybe we would go to...
Notre Dame Cathedral.
Exactly. So we would go see all these different sites. And to show... And that would mean that you are showing me the sites. You are taking me to see all these sites.
Okay.
Okay. And she is also having a little get-together at her apartment, at her new apartment. So what is a little get-together? This is a noun.
This is a get-together. So think about this. Two different words, actually. Get together, but it's a noun. It's a thing. It's like a party, but it's a small party.
Right. A little get-together.
So I like to think of a get-together as something very casual, something very small, sometimes intimate, where you just have 3 or 4 or 5 friends. And it's not as big as a party where everyone's dancing and...
Okay. So a little get-together is just a small group of people. You invite them over to your house. Very relaxed, very casual. It's not really a party. It's more of a reunion of friends.
And like we said, it's a noun. So you say, I'm having a get-together. You should come.
Okay. And she actually asks him to come, but she says it in a different way. She says, if you want to drop by.
Okay, this is something people often say in small talk because you don't want to say... you should come stay for a while because that's I don't know, they just met.
It's not in order.
Yeah, so you should drop by means you should come and see and decide if you want to stay.
So basically, it's also kind of a relaxed way of saying you can come whenever you want.
That's
during our party or our get-together.
So if the get-together is 9 p.m. to midnight, you can drop by whenever, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. So to drop by is to come for a short period.
So if we're talking on the phone and I say, I'll drop by your house later on today, that means I'm going to go to your house very quickly at a unexpected time.
Yeah, or you could use it in a question, Marco, I really wanted to borrow that DVD. When can I drop by to pick it up?
Okay, very, very good. Now let's take a look at our last phrase. Michelle and James decided that they want to keep in touch, and so he said, let me take down your number.
Okay, so we're not talking about
taking it anywhere.
Taking a number anywhere and going somewhere. We're talking about writing something down. So in this case, your number is your phone number. Okay, let me take down your number means let me write down your telephone number.
Okay, so it's another way of saying let me write down your telephone number. Take down my phone number. Call me later.
That's right. So can I take down your number so I can call you later?
Okay.
That's another way of asking this question.
Very good. All right, so that concludes Fluency Builder. Let's listen to our dialogue one last time, and we'll be back in a bit.
Hey, Michelle, this is my friend James. He's visiting Shanghai from New York.
Oh, hi, James. Nice to meet you. So, are you visiting for business or pleasure?
Well, actually, a little of both. I'm meeting some business contacts, but I'm also taking some Mandarin classes too.
Oh, that's cool. How's it going?
Well, I'm finding the classes pretty tough, actually. But I'm having a great time in Shanghai. It's really an amazing city.
It sure is. Are you staying for long?
Only 2 weeks, unfortunately. I wish I could stay longer, but...
Well, listen, if you need someone to show you the sights, then just call me. I'm having a little get-together at my new apartment next week, so if you want to drop by then...
That sounds great. I'd love to. Let me take down your number, Michelle.
Okay, so this is part 1 of our small talk series. We're going to have 10 episodes, and in each episode, we're going to be faced with a little different situation or circumstance where we will be forced to have a very quick chat with someone.
That's right. And so you're often going to find yourself in these situations if you're traveling to an English-speaking country or you're living or working in America, for example. Mm-hmm. And so it's really important because I think oftentimes you don't learn this in class. This is something that you have to really learn when you're in the country or learn with us here at English Pod.
That's right. It's a little bit of social skills for these awkward or maybe new situations.
Exactly.
All right, so if you guys have any other questions or doubts, you can find us at englishpod.com, and we'll see everyone there.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Hello, everyone, and welcome to English Pod. My name is Marco.
My name is Catherine, and we're going shopping today at English Pod.
That's right. Today we are going to the store because we want to return a product. So maybe the product that we bought had some problem, and we want our money back.
That's right. So let's take a listen to today's dialogue, and we'll be back in a moment to talk more about what's going on.
Hi. I would like to return this TV.
Sure. Do you have a receipt?
Yeah, here you go. Actually, I also want to return this keyboard.
Okay. May I ask what the reason for returning these products is?
The TV flickers a lot when I am watching a movie, and at times the image is not very clear.
I see. And what about the keyboard?
I spilled some coffee on it, and now it won't work.
I'm sorry, ma'am, but we can only exchange or refund defective products. We cannot take responsibility for misuse or damages.
Fine. I don't know why they make these things so delicate anyways.
All right, we're back. So now let's take a look at some of those keywords on Language Takeaway.
Language takeaway.
So we've got a great bunch of words for you here today. The first 3 are nouns, and then afterwards we've got a couple of adjectives to describe those nouns. But first up, we have the word receipt.
That's right. So we want to return the television, and the worker there asks us if we have the receipt.
Okay, a receipt is a small piece of paper that you receive from a clerk or a server after you buy something. So if I buy a TV, I will have this small piece of paper that says that I paid $500 for the TV.
That's right. So usually they will ask you for the receipt to see when you bought the product and if you bought the product at that store.
That's right. So the receipt has all sorts of information: date, time, method of payment, cost, all those things.
Right.
And it's very important if you ever want to return something. Now, later on in the dialogue, the character explains why he wants to return the TV. Now, Marco, why does he want to do that?
Well, he has a problem with the TV when he's watching a movie. Basically, the image is not very clear. So this is the keyword image.
So image can mean a couple of different things. You might hear the word image to mean a photograph or a picture, like on a computer. But in this case, the image is how well you can see the images on TV, the things on TV.
That's right. So on TV, it's like you're seeing many, many images all at once or very rapidly together. So maybe if you can't see clearly, you say that the image is not clear on the TV.
All right. So if it's fuzzy, like there's gray and black, the image is not clear. You can also say that, I really like my new TV. The image is very clear.
That's right. Okay, and not only are we returning a TV, but we're also returning a keyboard.
All right, a keyboard. A key is something that you can push, but a keyboard is this thing that you use with your computer to type words.
That's right. So many of you who are using the website as we speak are using a keyboard and a mouse. So these are probably one of the two most well-known objects when you're using a computer.
That's right. And keyboards come in many different shapes and sizes. You can buy French keyboards and Russian keyboards. So keyboard is the general word for this tool.
Okay. So we are returning the keyboard, and the clerk explains that we can only return it if it is defective, if the product is defective.
All right, so this is one of those adjectives I talked about a minute ago. Adjectives describe things. So my keyboard is defective, or this TV is defective. That means it doesn't work.
That's right. So we have a defective product. It's not working properly. It has some problem. And well, the guy was complaining that he didn't understand why these things, like the keyboard, are so delicate.
All right, delicate is something you might see written on the side of a box when you receive a package. Something that is delicate breaks very easily.
That's right, so you have to handle with care. So for example, glass is very delicate. It can break easily.
All right, glass is delicate, but stones, a big rock, that's not delicate.
That's right. All right, so that's all we have for language takeaway. Let's review everything and listen to our dialogue.
Hi, I would like to return this TV.
Sure. Do you have a receipt?
Yeah, here you go. Actually, I also want to return this keyboard.
Okay. May I ask what the reason for returning these products is?
The TV flickers a lot when I am watching a movie, and at times the image is not very clear.
I see. And what about the keyboard?
I spilled some coffee on it, and now it won't work.
I'm sorry, ma'am, but we can only exchange or refund defective products. We cannot take responsibility for misuse or damages.
Fine. I don't know why they make these things so delicate anyways.
All right, we're back. So now let's take a look at a couple of phrases we've picked out, 4 to be exact, on Fluency Builder.
Fluency Builder.
The first verb we have today here in Fluency Builder is the main verb in today's dialogue, to return. So I would like to return this TV.
Okay, so when you want to give back a product, you don't say, I want to give back or anything like this. You say, I want to return this product.
Well, it's not just giving back. It's giving back and getting your money back.
That's right.
So to return means that you bring back the product and the store will give you back your money.
That's right. And he wanted to return the TV, as we mentioned, because the image was not very clear. But he also mentioned that the TV flickers a lot. So what is this, to flicker?
To flicker is another verb, and flicker is something that things with light do. The light flickers, the TV flickers. It means the light comes on and off, on and off, on and off. So dark light, dark light. It's not very steady. It's not like there's light or dark. And so this is very annoying when you're watching TV because it goes light, dark, and it's hard to see what's happening.
Exactly. So it's basically, just imagine someone is turning on and off the light all the time. That's the same thing that's happening with the TV. It flickers.
Exactly. Or like when a light bulb in your lamp, when a light bulb is dying, it flickers.
That's right. All right. So we wanted to actually return these goods, and the clerk explained that we can exchange or we can refund defective products.
Okay, these are two important verbs. Exchange means to trade one thing for another.
Right.
So when I go to a foreign country, I exchange money, right? I can exchange Japanese yen for American dollars.
Right.
But at a store, like an electronics store, I can exchange my TV that I don't like for maybe a really good MP3 player or something like that.
So that's what happens usually if maybe your TV is broken or it had some problem. You exchange it for a new one, right? So, but maybe you don't want the TV anymore. Maybe you changed your mind, so you want to get a refund.
So refund, you hear this word fund, it has to do with money. A refund means that the store will give you all your money back. So if I refund my TV, I give my TV to the store gives me $500 or whatever the money for the TV was, and I can buy anything else anywhere else.
That's right. So this is what happens when you get a refund. Very different from exchanging the goods. And finally, the clerk explained that they cannot take responsibility for misuse or damages.
So remember this as a phrase. This is really important to take responsibility. It means that if something goes wrong, you will take responsibility for it. You will handle it. All right. So for example, the store says that it can't take responsibility if something is broken. That means that they won't pay you back money.
That's right. So if you buy a TV and you accidentally get it wet or you get water inside and this is why it gets damaged, then the store cannot take responsibility for this damage.
Or you could say it the other way around. You could say if you're at the office and you make a mistake on a report, you say, listen, boss, I'm really sorry. I take full responsibility for this mistake. You can, punish me or you can make me do it again.
Right.
But I take responsibility means that I say it's my fault.
Right, you're guilty. All right, so that's all we have for Fluency Builder. Let's listen to our dialogue one last time, and we can review everything we've just learned.
Hi, I would like to return this TV.
Sure. Do you have a receipt?
Yeah, here you go. Actually, I also want to return this keyboard.
Okay. May I ask what the reason for returning these products is?
The TV flickers a lot when I am watching a movie, and at times the image is not very clear.
I see. And what about the keyboard?
I spilled some coffee on it, and now it won't work.
I'm sorry, ma'am, but we can only exchange or refund defective products. We cannot take responsibility for misuse or damages.
Fine. I don't know why they make these things so delicate anyways.
So returning goods is a very useful thing. If you maybe bought a TV at a department store or an electronics store, then you would want to return it if you had some problems. Now, how easy or difficult is it to do? Because in theory, in the dialogue, it seems like it's really easy.
It depends on the store, of course. So some stores make it easier to do this. Some stores make it harder. I can tell you in most stores, if you don't have a receipt, it's probably very difficult.
Really?
Yes. But a lot of stores have something else that they sell you or give you when you buy something. It's called a warranty. And this is something that will help protect you if you take the TV home and you have a problem.
Right.
That means that they will come fix it or they will give you a new one without any questions about what happened.
Now, not only can you return goods such as TVs, electronics, or maybe clothes, but in some cases also things that you buy at the supermarket, like maybe chicken. I've heard that maybe sometimes you buy chicken and you open it up that same day and it's gone bad.
Really? I've never had that experience, but I think it makes sense. It depends where you buy it, of course. But
Right, obviously at a supermarket and you show the receipt, or maybe milk, maybe that's gone bad sometimes, or yogurt.
Well, because they probably shouldn't sell it if it's bad.
Exactly.
So if you tell them that they sold you bad milk, they'll give you a new one.
Exactly.
So that's called an exchange. You would exchange the bad one for the good one.
Right, you wouldn't get your money back.
No, maybe not, maybe.
All right, so that's all the time we have for today, but this is actually a very interesting topic because it has to do a lot with customer service. So let us know what your experience is with customer service, with returning something. Is it very easy, very difficult? Maybe some stores don't even accept returns. They say once you buy it, you cannot return it.
All sales final.
Yeah, exactly.
So let us know, are refunds or exchanges common where you come from? And have you ever had a bad experience where you bought something and it didn't work when you got home? Let us know. Our website is englishpod.com.
All right, we'll see you guys there.
Bye.
Everyone, and welcome to English Pod. My name is Marco.
My name is Catherine, and today we have an intermediate level lesson about education and university.
That's right. Today we're trying to find a university. We want to get some information about how much it costs and all that sort of stuff. So why don't we jump into the dialogue and see what's going on today?
I've never heard of M-Line College. Could you?
Of course, sir. Let me give you a brief overview. Amlyon College is located in the center of New York City. The school covers a wide range of academic subjects, and 80% of the courses are transferable to other state universities. And last year, Amlyon College was ranked #1 in terms of graduate employment.
Interesting. And what about the tuition fees, then?
You'll be looking at somewhere around $15,000 per semester.
Okay. Well...
And did I mention our on-campus housing? Students can stay in our newly renovated dorms for as little as $3,000 per month.
Sounds good. Well, I'll just grab one of your flyers.
Sir, you got the wrong flyer. Sir! Sir!
All right, we're back. So now let's take a look at some language on Language Takeaway.
Language takeaway.
So first up, Marco, we've got this word transferable. In the dialogue, the representative from Amlyon College said that 80% of the courses are transferable to other universities.
Okay, so before we talk about transferable, what is the difference here? We have two words, college and university. So why is he saying that you can transfer your courses from Amlyon College to another university?
Well, college and university are words that we use in English to describe higher education. That means education after high school. And a college is usually just for bachelor's students who are doing their first 4 years out of high school. But a university is it's usually a larger institution that has bachelor's degree students as well as master's degree students and PhD candidates. And so while a college is for 18 to 22-year-olds, a university can have students of all ages who are doing sometimes very advanced degrees like postdoctoral work.
Okay, very interesting. And so this is why the person mentions that 80% of the courses are transferable to other state universities. So transferable means that you can transfer, you can move to another university. So everything that you've studied, you can take with you.
That's right. So a lot of people like to start at a college or vice versa. They like to start at a big university and transfer to a college. And so it's important to know that your courses can be transferred as well. So if I studied Spanish for 2 years, I can transfer I can transfer those courses to my new school.
Right, so you don't have to start over.
Right.
Okay, very good. And, well, obviously one of the big questions when you're picking a university is the tuition fee.
So tuition is the amount of money it costs to attend a university for usually a year. Tuition fees is the actual money you have to pay. So you can say, I can't afford my tuition fees this year, so I will be getting a part-time job.
Okay. And so this is what tuition fees are. In school, you call it tuition. You don't say how much it costs. You ask, what is the tuition?
What's the tuition, exactly?
Okay. And he mentioned that it was around $15,000 per semester. So this is interesting. Is this the year?
No, a semester is half of an academic year. All right. So an academic year is usually September to May or June. And a semester is half of that. So first semester or fall semester is the study period between September and December or January.
That's right. Okay, so basically what we could deduce is that this university costs $15,000 per semester, or about $30,000 per year.
That's right.
Okay, very good. And well, he also mentioned about the on-campus housing.
All right, so on campus is pretty straightforward. It means that this housing option where you live and sleep is on the campus. And a university campus is not one building, it's many, many buildings together. Sometimes there are classrooms and there are laboratories and there's a cafeteria, but there's also housing. And most housing comes in one style. What's the style they mentioned in today's dialogue?
A dorm. This is where university students usually live if they live on campus. They have dorms.
So dorm is short for dormitory, and it basically means that it's an apartment building for students or even sometimes workers that's very close to where they'll be studying or working.
So what is the difference between a dorm and an apartment?
Well, I can give you an example. Some dorms are very fancy, but my dorm at university was very simple. So I lived in one bedroom with another girl. There were 2 beds and no bathroom. And so everyone on that floor of the building shared bathrooms. And the bathrooms were, there's 6 showers and 4 toilets or whatever.
Okay, very good. Yeah, I think this is the main thing with a dorm is usually you don't have a kitchen, you don't have usually your own bathroom, and so it's just basically a room and a bedroom, and then you share everything else with other people. All right, very good. A lot of great things related to college. I think this is very good vocab for you, especially if you're considering going to college or something like that. Especially if you're considering going to college or maybe you want to continue your studies. So why don't we go back, let's listen to this dialogue again, and we'll be back with Fluency Builder.
I've never heard of M-Line College. Could you?
Of course, sir. Let me give you a brief overview. Amlion College is located in the center of New York City. The school covers a wide range of academic subjects, and 80% of the courses are transferable to other state universities. And last year, Amlion College was ranked #1 in terms of graduate employment.
Interesting. And what about the tuition fees, then?
You'll be looking at somewhere around $15,000 per semester.
Okay. Well...
And did I mention our on-campus housing? Students can stay in our newly renovated dorms for as little as $3,000 per month.
Sounds good. Well, I'll just grab one of your flyers.
Sir, you got the wrong flyer. Sir! Sir!
All right, we're back. So now let's take a look at these 3 phrases we've picked out for you on Fluency Builder.
Fluency Builder.
So again, when the person who was speaking for this college was describing it, they said that the school covers a wide range of academic subjects. Now, this phrase, wide range, is something you'll hear in a lot of different contexts. What does it mean, Marco?
That's right. It means that they have a variety, a very big variety of subjects. So they don't only focus, for example, on business. They may have arts, they may have engineering, business, etc.
So if you're studying at a university and they offer one course, they offer English, is that a wide range of subjects?
No, that's not a wide range. So basically a wide range of subjects would be that you can have many, many, many choices. Okay.
Well, after that, we also had a great phrase when we were discussing tuition fees. So the visitor asked, what about the tuition fees? And the answer was, you'll be looking at somewhere around $15,000 US. Now, you'll be looking at is a very, very strange phrase, right? Well, it's not strange, but it might sound strange to non-native English speakers.
It's actually a very common phrase, especially when you're talking to salesmen. They don't want to say you'll have to pay or you have to pay or anything like this. They'll say, well, you'll be looking at somewhere around $15,000. And that means you are expected to pay this amount of money. But they don't really say pay, so this is the key thing.
All right, so this is the price. This is the price tag, and this is something that, like you're saying, salespeople say so that you don't have to say, well, the price of this is $30,000. So another good context for this phrase would be like a car dealership. If I'm buying a car and I see a beautiful new Ford Mustang, and I say, well, how much does this cost? What would you, as the car dealer, say?
I'll say, well, you'll be looking at around $30,000.
I don't know.
That's right. So this is a way of saying you'll have to pay. And well, the guy wasn't really convinced. I think it was kind of expensive because dorms were also $3,000 per month. So he was like, well, sounds good. Well, I'll just grab one of your flyers.
All right, so this phrase "sounds good" is something that English speakers use all the time. I personally use it very, very often, and it's another way of saying okay.
Yeah, so if you agree with someone, you say sounds good.
So should we meet at 7 for the movie tonight?
Yeah, sure, sounds good.
All right. It's another way of saying yes, good, okay, very well.
That's right. So sounds good. Great stuff. Why don't we take a break? Let's listen to everything one more time, and we'll be back in a bit.
I've never heard of M-Line College. Could you?
Of course, sir. Let me give you a brief overview. Amlyon College is located in the center of New York City. The school covers a wide range of academic subjects, and 80% of the courses are transferable to other state universities. And last year, Amlyon College was ranked #1 in terms of graduate employment.
Interesting. And what about the tuition fees, then?
You'll be looking at somewhere around $15,000 per semester.
Okay. Well...
And did I mention our on-campus housing? Students can stay in our newly renovated dorms for as little as $3,000 per month.
Sounds good. Well, I'll just grab one of your flyers.
Sir, you got the wrong flyer. Sir! Sir!
All right, so universities in the United States, they're infamous for being very expensive.
That's right. And so we discussed the difference between colleges and universities, but I think it's important to also talk about the difference between public and private schools. Public schools are schools that are paid for by the government or that are subsidized, so the government pays part of them. And these are schools that tend to be cheaper than private schools. So private schools can be as much as $50,000 for 1 year of study.
So, for example, the famous ones like Harvard or Stanford, those are private schools.
Those are private schools, but the University of California is a public institution. The University of Illinois, for example, is another public institution. So there are many different options in the United States.
I think usually the state universities have the name of the state in them. So University of Florida is probably state university.
That's right, but you have to be careful because the University of Pennsylvania is a private university.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's an Ivy League school, so it's one of the oldest schools in America, and it's like Harvard or Yale. It's very, very high quality.
This is something that they always mention when talking about universities in the States. They always say it's an Ivy League school, just like you said right now. What does it mean if a university is Ivy League?
Well, a league is just a group, right? And so some of the first universities in the United States formed this group called the Ivy League, and I think it used to have to do with the sports. These teams would play each other in sports, but I could be wrong. Anyway, these were in the 18th century. These are schools for men. And there were seven Ivy League schools for men, and then there were the sister schools for women.
Yeah, like
Wellesley, Radcliffe, these are the sister schools. And so nowadays, both men and women can go to all these universities. And so we just talk about them as the Ivy Leagues. And the Ivy League schools that are most famous are Harvard, Yale, Brown, the University of Pennsylvania, Columbia, things like that.
So talking about universities and colleges, I have heard also the community college.
Yeah, that can be a lot more affordable. That's something that's, because it's community college, it's usually something you go to back near your home. Because, colleges and universities, sometimes people travel very, very far to go to these schools. But community colleges are available to people in your own community, and you can take night classes. You can do a lot of different things at them. They're great resources. They're a lot more affordable than other schools. And a lot of people like to go to them because they don't have to pay these expensive fees for housing like dorms or for travel.
Right.
And they're a great option for people. So community colleges and universities are the major distinctions.
There is a lot to talk about on this subject, especially if you're a student or you're a professional considering doing a master's abroad, or you want to go to the States or Canada to study. There's a lot of things to take into consideration. So this is a great topic. We really want to hear from you. If you have any other questions or doubts, you can always find us at englishpod.com.
We hope to see you guys there. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to English Pod. My name is Marco.
My name is Catherine, and we have a delicious Italian food lesson for you today.
That's right. We are at an Italian restaurant, and we are ordering food. So this is going to be very helpful next time you are at an Italian restaurant with your friends and you're ordering up some dishes.
Let's take a listen to our dialogue, and we'll be back in a moment to talk about what's going on.
Good evening, ladies. My name is Josh, and I'll be your server tonight. May I take your order?
Do you have any recommendations?
Well, I personally like the chicken penne with cream mushroom sauce, but the prawn fettuccine is also very nice.
I'd like to have the grilled chicken. But can I have spaghetti instead of penne?
Of course, ma'am. And for you?
I'll have the horse tripe.
All right, we're back, and now let's take a look at all those delicious Italian dishes on Language Takeaway.
Language takeaway.
So first of all, we have two different kinds of sauce, really. The first is cream mushroom. So what's a cream sauce, Marco?
A cream mushroom sauce. So basically, this is cream from like milk, and you have mushrooms in it, and it's, I don't know, I think everyone has seen it. It's a very thick white sauce. It has little slices of mushrooms in it. It's kind of sweet.
That's right. And so oftentimes you see there's cream sauces, which are white, and tomato sauces, which are red.
Right.
And this here is a cream sauce, so it's white, and it's got chunks of mushroom in it. Very tasty.
And the waiter also offered prawn with the pasta. So what is a prawn?
Prawn fettuccine. So prawn is like a big, it's like a word for shrimp. I always think of jumbo prawns, which are these big shrimps.
Big shrimps. So they're basically the same thing. Shrimp and prawn are basically the same.
That's right. And they're a seafood that when they get cooked, they curl. And so they look like a circle, but they're pinkish or red.
That's right.
And they're very tasty.
Okay, so now let's take a look at the different types of pasta. So we have 3 different types of pasta that the waiter suggested. So the first one is...
Okay, we're going to say all 3 in the American way, but I'm going to tell you the Italian way is quite different. So I'll say that afterwards. The first is penne.
Okay, so this is a type of pasta. What does it look like?
It is like a small tube, so maybe 3 centimeters long, and it is round, and it has a hole in the middle, and so it's a kind of pasta.
And what about the fettuccine?
So fettuccine is a long noodle, but it's flat. It's not round, it's flat.
Okay.
Fettuccine.
So it kind of looks like a shoelace.
Yeah, it's long and flat.
Okay. And then we have spaghetti, which I think many people know, and this is probably the most popular one.
That's right. Spaghetti is very long, just like fettuccine, but it's very, very thin and round.
So it kind of looks like maybe a pencil, a very long pencil.
But very thin, more like hair, actually.
Okay, hair, okay.
Yeah, and there are thin kinds, so they have a special name, but this is just a normal pasta that you will see everywhere. It's very long, and you can twirl it. You can spin it around your fork.
Around your fork. Okay, so that's what we have. We have penne, fettuccine, and spaghetti. Now, the other woman ended up ordering horse tripe. Now, this is also another Italian dish. What is this exactly?
Well, horse is the animal, so this is tripe that comes from a horse. But tripe is a certain part of the animal that it's a food name actually. So when we eat the stomach lining, the part of the stomach that goes around the stomach, it's kind of squishy, soft. That is called tripe. And you can have tripe from many different animals, like cows or pigs. But in this case, it's horse tripe. So it's basically that thick piece of like spongy material around the animal's stomach.
Okay.
And when you cook it, it looks very funny.
So this is actually a famous Italian dish as well, right?
I think so. I think they eat it in the South more, but you can definitely get tripe in a lot of different places in Italy.
Okay, very good. So there you have it. A lot of different dishes, Italian dishes. We've taken a look at a couple of pasta dishes. Why don't we take a break, listen to the dialogue again, and we'll be back with Fluency Builder.
Good evening, ladies. My name is Josh, and I'll be your server tonight. May I take your order?
Do you have any recommendations?
Well, I personally like the chicken penne with cream mushroom sauce, but the prawn fettuccine is also very nice.
I'd like to have the grilled chicken. But can I have spaghetti instead of penne?
Of course, ma'am. And for you?
I'll have the horse tripe.
All right, we're back. So now we're going to give you 3 key phrases on Fluency Builder.
Fluency Builder.
So the phrases we have selected for you today are phrases that you are sure to hear anytime you go to a restaurant in America or any other English-speaking country. But basically, you have a waiter who comes to you if you sit down, and this is what they'll say. The first thing they'll say is, "I'll be your server."
I'll be your server tonight. So he introduces himself. He says, "Good evening, ladies. My name is Josh, and I'll be your server tonight." So when he's saying, "I'll be your server," it's another way of saying, "I'll be your waiter."
Your waiter, that's right. But server can be a man or a woman. And a waiter can only be a man. If it's a woman, it's a waitress.
Okay, so waitress for a woman, waiter for a guy, but if we use server, it's for men and women.
Yes, I'll be your server. And I just like to remind you that this is more common in America because in America, waiters and waitresses or servers, they have to earn tips, and so they're very nice.
Okay, so this is why they introduce themselves, they are very nice to you, and then they ask, "May I take your order?"
May I take your order? So the verb to take here doesn't mean to take it from you. It means to ask you, and then they'll write it down. Okay. So the server will ask you what you want to order, and then we'll write it down. And the order is what you have decided to eat. So that's the food that you order.
Now, this next phrase is very, very handy, especially if you're in a country that maybe you don't know the dishes well, or if you're in a restaurant that you want to see what they recommend. You can just say, "Do you have any recommendations?"
Do you have any recommendations? Okay, so this is a way to ask the server what's good.
So what he thinks is good or what the restaurant serves very well.
Okay, so you could say, "I've never been to this restaurant before. Do you have any recommendations?" Or maybe even, Marco, we're having dinner and I know that you really like Italian food and I don't know much about Italian food. So I can ask you, do you have any recommendations?
Okay. So this is a way of asking what is good here. What is delicious in this restaurant?
What's good to eat?
Okay. All right. So 3 phrases there for you. Why don't we take another short break and let's listen to the dialogue for the last time.
Good evening, ladies. My name is Josh, and I'll be your server tonight. May I take your order?
Do you have any recommendations?
Well, I personally like the chicken penne with cream mushroom sauce, but the prawn fettuccine is also very nice.
I'd like to have the grilled chicken. But can I have spaghetti instead of penne?
Of course, ma'am. And for you?
I'll have the horse tripe.
All right, so talking about pasta. Now, one thing, before you mentioned that all these different types of pasta, they're basically the same thing. They're just different shapes, right? That's how you distinguish them.
Well, yeah, they're basically made from the same ingredients. And so you have, most of them are kind of a yellow color, but sometimes you have pastas that are a dark, like a brown or a green. That depends on what kind of things you put into the dough.
Right.
But generally, they're the same ingredients, but they are different shapes. Like they have curly ones and they have long ones and short ones.
All right, so how do you pronounce, we said penne in English, in American English, but in proper Italian it would be?
Penne.
Penne. So you double pronounce the consonant.
Yes.
What about fettuccine?
Fettuccine.
Oh, it's fettuccine.
Fettuccine. In American, we say fettuccine.
Fettuccine,
Like
yeah.
fettuccine Alfredo is a very common American Italian dish, but
Right.
in Italian it'd be fettuccine, so you might hear it differently.
And what about spaghetti?
Spaghetti.
Spaghetti. Oh, you pronounce the double T as well.
That's right.
Okay, so you said that obviously there are a lot of other types of pasta. What about this pasta that's, I think it's made of spinach. It's green.
Yeah, that's just a spinach pasta, basically.
Oh, okay. You
And so
just
they
call it
put
like
the
that.
spinach in the dough. But you can also find very many shapes, like
Right.
the angel hair pasta is
That's
very
very
popular.
thin.
It's very thin. That's the one I was saying. Is it's almost like hair. It's so thin. It's long as well.
What about those little curly tubes?
You
They look like penne, but they're kind of curved. They look like little N's or U's.
Oh, you have macaroni.
Macaroni.
Elbow macaroni, we call them in America, and they look like your elbow on your arm, so we call them elbow macaroni.
What about the ones that are, they have like a spiral? They kind of look like springs.
Those are called fusilli.
Fusilli. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and you also have one that's very special. This is my favorite pasta, by the way. It's called orecchiette.
Oh, what is this?
Orecchiette, and they look like your ear, and that's what that means in Italian. It means your little ear.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so ear pastas.
Wow. And what about ravioli? This is probably one of the most famous dishes. Ravioli. What is this?
A ravioli is like a square. It's like a square pasta, but it's more like a pocket or a pillow. And inside you have ingredients like meat or cheese usually is very popular.
Right.
So you have this cheese inside this little packet.
This little, yeah.
This little dough. It's very soft and very warm. And then on top, sometimes people like to put butter or tomato sauce.
Okay.
It's really delicious.
So that's the main difference. Like, this was obviously all the pastas that we mentioned. They're just, they don't have anything inside them.
No, they're just dough. But a ravioli is a special kind of pasta that's it's almost like a dumpling in a way. It's
Right.
It's stuffed.
It
There's
has something
things inside.
All right. Really interesting. I think Italian cuisine is among one of the most famous foods in the world. And, well, you should let us know what is your favorite Italian dish.
Please let us know. Our website is englishpod.com. And when you're there, you could find out what our favorite dishes are.
All right. We'll see you guys there.
Bye.
Bye. Hello, everyone, and welcome to English Pod. My name is Marco.
And my name is Catherine, and today we have a great lesson for you about traveling.
That's right. You know, we have taken a look at previous lessons where you can buy a ticket, how to book a flight, what to do at the airport. But now we are going to see what we can do if our flight gets canceled.
Okay, this is not a fun situation, but hopefully with our help, you'll be able to understand what these messages are about flights that are canceled or delayed. So let's take a listen to today's dialogue.
Good afternoon, sir. May I please see your passport and reservation?
Here you go.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. This flight has been canceled due to some mechanical problems.
Canceled? What am I supposed to do now?
We apologize for any inconveniences that may be caused by this. If your flight is urgent, I could put you on a waiting list for another flight this evening, but it's on a first-come, first-served basis, so there's no guarantee you'll be able to take that flight.
What are my other options?
Well, if you can wait until tomorrow, we will put you up in a hotel for today, and you can take the scheduled flight for tomorrow morning.
That's fine. I'll do that then.
Thank you for your understanding, sir. I'll book your flight now.
All right, we're back. So now it's time for us to go into language takeaway.
Language takeaway.
All right, in language takeaway today, we have about 4 words or phrases. The first one is the reason for this cancellation. The reason is mechanical problems.
That's right. She said that the airplane has some mechanical problems, and that's why the flight is canceled.
So the key here is mechanical. Mechanical meaning like related to machines, right? All right, so something that's a mechanical problem has to do with the actual structure of the plane.
That's right. So, for example, maybe something is wrong with the wings, or maybe something is wrong with the engines, some type of problem that has to do with the mechanics of the machine.
Right, and obviously, if you have a problem with the wings or the wheels or the engine, you don't want to fly that plane.
That's right.
So this caused the canceled flight. Now, after that, we heard this word, we apologize for any inconveniences. What's an inconvenience, Marco?
That's right. Well, obviously, I planned to take this flight, let's say Tuesday at 8 a.m., and if the flight is canceled, that means I have to wait an hour or 3 hours or maybe for the next day. So it's an inconvenience. It means it's not convenient for me. It causes me some trouble.
All right. So something that is inconvenient causes problems or causes trouble.
That's right.
For example, you have this late flight or canceled flight. That's an inconvenience. But also small things can be inconvenient as well. Like, I want to go home at 5. Unfortunately, I have to write this report. It's very inconvenient.
That's right. So maybe you have a doctor's appointment tomorrow at 12, but you also have a meeting at your work, so it's inconvenient, these 2 dates.
All right. They cause problems for each other. So after that, the service person says if your flight is urgent, I can put you on a waiting list.
Right.
Waiting list. So this is another important phrase to understand when we're talking about canceled flights.
That's right. We usually get put on a waiting list, and it's basically a list with everyone's names where you are waiting for the next available flight, or you're waiting for to be able to have the service provided.
All right, so you can have a waiting list at an airport like here, but you can also have a waiting list at a restaurant, right?
That's right. And some restaurants are super popular, and you got to get on a waiting list.
So can I put my name on the waiting list? That means, can you call me when there's a free table?
Right, exactly. So even though we are on this waiting list, it doesn't mean that we are guaranteed to be able to take this flight this evening. So there is no guarantee.
All right, this guarantee, this is an important thing to talk about because a guarantee is something that means that we will definitely get a later flight.
Yeah, we promise.
We promise. So you often see the word guarantee in advertisements. For example, this TV has a 6-month guarantee. So we guarantee it won't break. If it does, we will fix it.
That's right.
But no guarantee means that we can't promise. We don't promise.
That's right.
So it's possible that you won't get a flight.
So, for example, if you buy a new car, the manufacturer will guarantee that it's in good condition and it won't break down. But if you buy a used car, it's unlikely that they will give you that same guarantee.
No, that's right. They cannot promise it because they don't know.
Exactly. All right, so a lot of words and phrases there. Why don't we go back and listen to our dialogue again?
Good afternoon, sir. May I please see your passport and reservation?
Here you go.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. This flight has been canceled due to some mechanical problems.
Canceled? What am I supposed to do now?
We apologize for any inconveniences that may be caused by this. If your flight is urgent, I could put you on a waiting list for another flight this evening, but it's on a first-come, first-served basis, so there's no guarantee you'll be able to take that flight.
What are my other options?
Well, if you can wait until tomorrow, we will put you up in a hotel for today, and you can take the scheduled flight for tomorrow morning.
That's fine. I'll do that then.
Thank you for your understanding, sir. I'll book your flight now.
All right, so now let's take a look at 3 key phrases that we have prepared for you on Fluency Builder.
Fluency builder.
Okay, so the first phrase we have here is a very important one. This tells us about the cause of the problem. The service person said, "I'm sorry, sir. This flight has been canceled due to some mechanical problems."
Right.
Due to.
So this phrase, due to, basically is saying because of. right?
That's right. So this flight has been canceled because of mechanical problems. And remember, this due is D-U-E.
That's right, D-U-E. So I think it's kind of a nicer or more formal way of saying because of, or the reason is.
Exactly. For example, the picnic has been canceled due to bad weather.
So it sounds a lot more professional, a lot more formal than if you say because of bad weather.
All right, so just remember here, due to indicates the cause or the reason. It's like saying because.
All right, now, when we were talking about the flights, we said that we are on the waiting list, but in order to catch this flight, they are going to take people on a first-come, first-served basis.
All right, first come, first served. Now, this is again a very common phrase. It's related to that waiting list thing we were talking about. If you have a waiting list, usually the waiting list is first come, first served. So I could say, am I guaranteed a spot? And you could say, well,
it's first come, first served.
Maybe, maybe not.
Right.
If I'm number 1 on the list, I will probably get a seat. But if I'm number 30,
Probably not. So what we mean by it is that we don't give priority to anyone. We don't say, oh, you are more important or you're not. If whoever comes first gets it.
All right. So if I come to the restaurant at 5 o'clock, I get to sit first. But if you come at 5:10, you're next. And after you, 5:30. So it's first come, first serve. It depends on when you arrive.
That's right. So obviously this wasn't convenient for us. So we are going to wait until tomorrow. But the airline will put us up in a hotel. We will put you up in a hotel.
All right, so let's take this as a phrase because we all know what a hotel is. It's a place where you stay when you're on holiday or business. But to put someone up, what exactly does this mean?
Basically, you are paying for that person to stay at that hotel, and you made the reservation and you're going to pay for the room.
So I will put you up means I will pay for your room at a hotel.
Right. And it's usually only for accommodation for a hotel, right? You can't say, I will put you up for a meal.
No, but you can say I'll put you up at my house, which means I will let you stay the night at my house. So not food, but actually sleeping generally.
Right. So it usually involves sleeping.
That's right. So for example, you could say he's coming to our hometown for the wedding. I will put him up at my house.
Right. Or if your company sent you to Japan, you say, my company put me up at the Hyatt Hotel.
Ooh, fancy.
Nice. All right. So that's all the phrases we have for you. Let's listen to our dialogue one last time.
Good afternoon, sir. May I please see your passport and reservation?
Here you go.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. This flight has been canceled due to some mechanical problems.
Canceled? What am I supposed to do now?
We apologize for any inconveniences that may be caused by this. If your flight is urgent, I could put you on a waiting list for another flight this evening, but it's on a first-come, first-served basis, so there's no guarantee you'll be able to take that flight.
What are my other options?
Well, if you can wait until tomorrow, we will put you up in a hotel for today, and you can take the scheduled flight for tomorrow morning.
That's fine. I'll do that then.
Thank you for your understanding, sir. I'll book your flight now.
All right, we're back. So we're talking about canceled flights. Usually it's due to bad weather, and usually you can catch another flight soon. But sometimes you do have these problems, like when there was the whole 9/11 thing. I think a lot of flights were canceled, or the volcano that erupted, and European flights were grounded for a long time.
Yes, that's right. So sometimes there are natural disasters. Sometimes there are man-made disasters. But you actually said a very interesting word there, and something that I think people who are learning about this should definitely study. The word is grounded. A flight has been grounded.
Yes, that means that the airplane will stay on the ground. It means the plane will not fly.
Okay, so when planes are grounded because of bad weather or because of a natural disaster like a volcano, it's a very serious situation because the people who are going to fly can't now.
Now, in our dialogue, we saw that the airline handled it very, very well, but I think this is a very rare case. How you've had flights canceled before. How did they handle it?
I have. I've had 2 or 3 flights canceled, one time because of a blizzard. So all flights were grounded. The weather was very bad, very dangerous. And the airline company said, well, we're sorry, there are no more flights. but if you come back tomorrow, we can help you. And I was very lucky because they did not give me they did not put me up in a hotel, but I was staying with a friend, so my friends put me up at her house. But the other time the flight was canceled, the airline put me on a flight from another airline company, and so sometimes they can do that where they have a relationship with another airline company. They can do that.
So usually they do try to handle it relatively well, but I've heard sometimes that they are not very understanding or very sympathetic to the inconvenience they cause.
Definitely. And I think the worst is when it's bad weather because everyone's angry. And all the customers need to go somewhere, but they can't because there are no flights. And so the people who are working for the airlines get very frustrated or upset.
Right, because basically it's not their fault. It's not their fault there's bad weather. So there's not really much compensation the company can give you.
No, definitely not. Not really their fault. But it's hard not to get frustrated because you want to go home. You're tired. You don't want to pay for another night in a hotel. So I can understand both sides.
Right. Well, it's an interesting topic, and I'm sure many of our listeners who have traveled have had a flight delayed or canceled. So you can come to our website and share your story with us. And of course, if you have any questions or comments,
you can find us at englishpod.com. We hope to see you all there.
All right. Bye guys.
I've always had a passion for art and design, so it felt like a natural fit for me.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to English Pod. My name is Marco.
My name is Catherine, and today we're going outside for our lesson.
That's right. Today we are gardening. We are going to set up our own garden.
Okay, that means growing plants and maybe even food. So let's take a listen to this dialogue, and we'll be back in a moment to talk more about it.
I've decided to grow my own garden.
What? You don't know the first thing about gardening.
On the contrary, I've been reading a lot of books about the subject.
Oh yeah? Tell me then, smarty pants. How will you go about setting up your garden?
Well, first I need to buy some things such as fertilizer, seeds, and tools.
What type of tools?
You know, the basics. A rake, shovel, spade, and a hoe.
Right. Well, it seems like you have all your bases covered. What's next?
I'll till the soil and then sow the seeds. I'll then add some fertilizer and voila! Gardening all done.
Well, good luck with your garden, especially considering we're in the dry season and it won't rain for the next 3 months.
All right, we're back. So a lot of vocab related to gardening. We mentioned a lot of tools, and we're going to explain a lot of those now on Language Takeaway.
Language takeaway.
Okay, so gardening has some very special tools, like you said, Marco. The first one is one that I am not, well, it's actually not a tool. It's a part of gardening, something that we use to help the plants grow, and I really don't like it because it smells bad.
Exactly. It smells kind of bad, and it has a very strong smell, and that is called fertilizer.
Fertilizer. So basically, fertilizer is something that you use in a garden to help the plants grow better.
Right. I think it has a lot of vitamins and minerals that the plant needs to grow better, faster, stronger.
Exactly. Fertilizer.
Okay, good. And well, now we're going to mention 4 tools that we use in gardening, basic tools. The first one being a rake.
A rake. Rake. So a rake is actually something that's very common in most houses, especially houses with a yard or a garden. It's not just a gardening tool, but it is something that has a long handle, and we use it to clear the ground of rocks or leaves.
Right. So just imagine it's kind of like a big brush. for your garden. It collects things, right?
Right. It's like a big brush it's pulling things out of the ground or away from the ground, especially in the fall, like October or November, when all the leaves fall off the trees and you have to take them off the grass. You use a rake to pull them.
So you use a rake to pull them, and you also call the action of using a rake. You say you rake the garden.
To rake.
Okay.
That's right. So to rake the leaves. I hate raking the leaves.
All right. And now the other tool that we have is very common, not only in gardening, but for construction work, for many things. You have a shovel.
Shovel. So a shovel is basically a big metal spoon.
Right.
And you use it to make a hole in the ground.
Exactly. So, as we say, we use it a lot in gardening to make holes for maybe the plants, but also in construction, if you want to make a hole in the ground and things like this, you use a shovel. And now a smaller version of the shovel that you use only with your hand, this is called a spade.
A spade. So this is very small, like you said, and it's actually special because of its shape. A spade has a point. A shovel is round and a spade has a point. And what's interesting, Marco, is it's actually very common somewhere else.
In cards.
That's right, in cards. So cards have different shapes. One is a heart, one is a diamond. One of them is a spade. So the one that's pointy, that's called a spade, and it's used for digging kind of precision holes.
Right, exactly. So maybe you don't want to use a big shovel. If you want to make maybe a small hole in the ground, you would use a spade. And now our last tool has a kind of a funny spelling. It's H-O-E, and it's pronounced hoe.
Hoe. So again, this is a tool with a very long handle, and you use it to maybe make the ground softer or to turn up the ground. So when you're first starting to plant a garden, the ground is very hard. It's very tough, right? And this is a really important tool for that period because you can basically turn up the ground. You're not digging anything, but you're mixing up the dirt a little bit to make it softer.
Okay, very good. So that's when you use this tool. It's kind of a dirt or a soil mixer.
You can also pull out those nasty weeds with a hoe.
Okay, good. So for key tools that we've just taken a look at now. But now let's move on to two verbs that are basically very important when you're talking about gardening and all this is, as you mentioned, you talked about mixing the soil. And in the next line, we see that it says, I'll till the soil. To till.
Okay, so basically this is a way of turning up that soil, but you're doing it kind of in lines, right? So you're mixing up the soil and making it soft. You're preparing the soil for planting. And so you till the soil. Soil, of course, in this case, is that dirt. It's earth.
Right, it's earth. So to till is to prepare it for planting.
Till the soil, that's right.
To till the soil, okay.
And what do we do after the soil has been tilled?
Well, then we sow the seeds.
Okay, so seeds are baby plants, basically. And we sow the seeds. When we sow the seeds, we're putting the seeds into the ground.
So that's basically planting the seeds. You can say we plant the seeds or we sow the seeds.
Okay.
And the opposite of sowing?
The opposite of sowing is reaping. R-E-A-P, to reap. So we actually have a phrase in English. This is very, very famous, very common. We say, you reap what you sow.
You reap what you sow. That's right. So you basically collect what you planted, and that's kind of what you do in life.
So we say, if you haven't planted anything good, you're not going to reap anything good.
Exactly. It's a very popular phrase. All right. So we've covered a lot of vocab here. Why don't we go back, listen to the dialogue again, and we'll be back with Fluency Builder.
I've decided to grow my own garden.
What? You don't know the first thing about gardening.
On the contrary, I've been reading a lot of books about the subject.
Oh yeah? Tell me then, smarty pants. How will you go about setting up your garden?
Well, first I need to buy some things such as fertilizer, seeds, and tools.
What type of tools?
You know, the basics. A rake, shovel, spade, and a hoe.
Right. Well, it seems like you have all your bases covered. What's next?
I'll till the soil and then sow the seeds. I'll then add some fertilizer and voila, gardening all done.
Well, good luck with your garden, especially considering we're in the dry season and it won't rain for the next 3 months.
All right, we're back, and we have 4 phrases for you on Fluency Builder, and we're going to take a look at those now.
Fluency builder.
This first phrase is useful in any conversation, I think, especially if you're trying to impress somebody. So basically, one person in this dialogue says, you know what? You don't know the first thing about gardening. That means you don't know anything about gardening. And what does he say in response?
On the contrary.
On the contrary. So the contrary means the opposite. So basically, this means the opposite is true.
Right. You're basically saying, I disagree. What you were saying is false. It's actually the opposite.
So maybe, I have a feeling, Marco, that it's going to rain tomorrow.
Actually, on the contrary, I saw in the news that it's going to be very sunny tomorrow.
Oh, well, that's good news.
So that's a way of maybe politely disagreeing with someone or saying to someone that, well, you're wrong. It's actually the opposite of what you're saying. Okay. Moving on to our second phrase. It's actually a colloquial way of kind of making fun of someone. When you say, all right, then, smarty pants.
Okay, smarty pants. Don't think about this too much. We're not talking about pants, actually.
Right.
But this is a way of saying, okay, if you're so smart, then tell me that. It's sarcasm.
It's sarcasm, exactly.
Yeah. So this person says, oh, actually, I know a lot about gardening. And the other person says, oh, really, smarty pants?
So you can actually describe a person in this way. Maybe a person that it thinks they know a lot, or sometimes what you say, a Mr. Know-It-all. You also say it's a smarty pants.
Right, so someone who thinks they know a lot, or everything even.
Right. Mr. Know-It-all or a smarty pants. All right, and our third phrase is interesting because we have a setup here. When the person says, how will you go about setting up your garden, right?
Okay, so to go about doing something. There's two important parts to this. So, Marco, the first part is how you go about. This means how you do.
Right, so you're basically, how will you do this?
What's your approach?
What's your approach? So, how will you go about plus and then the verb in ing. So how will you go about setting up your garden? How will you start, or what is your approach to creating your garden?
So maybe, Marco, you want to write a book, and I can ask you, well, how will you go about starting your book?
Right. Or if I'm writing a book, you can say, how will you go about investigating for your book? So what is the approach you're going to take? How will you do it?
How do you plan on doing something?
Exactly. And our final phrase here is very commonly used for all sorts of situations. Basically, if a person is prepared, you say, well, you have all your bases covered.
Okay, this is a great phrase. It comes right from sports. Very common in English to have sports phrases. This comes from the sport baseball.
Right.
So in baseball, the field is a diamond. There are 4 corners or 4 bases. And the runners have to go from one base to the other. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then they get a point. But in this case, we're saying the other team, they have their bases covered. That means they're protecting their bases. And in speech, we say, if you have your bases covered, like you said, Marco, you're very well prepared.
Right. So you're ready, you're prepared, you have really planned out and thought of what you're going to do, so you have all your bases covered.
So, Marco, for example, you just told me that it's going to be sunny tomorrow, but I think it still might rain. So, to have all my bases covered, I'm going to bring an umbrella anyway.
Just in case.
Just in case.
Or maybe you have a presentation at work and you've prepared your PowerPoint presentation, you have your drawings, your copies, you have everything ready. You have all your bases covered for that meeting.
That's right.
Okay. So, why don't we go back and listen to our dialogue for the last time, and we'll be back to talk a little bit more.
I've decided to grow my own garden.
What? You don't know the first thing about gardening.
On the contrary, I've been reading a lot of books about the subject.
Oh yeah? Tell me then, smarty pants. How will you go about setting up your garden?
Well, first I need to buy some things such as fertilizer, seeds, and tools.
What type of tools?
You know, the basics. A rake, shovel, spade, and a hoe.
Right. Well, it seems like you have all your bases covered. What's next?
I'll till the soil and then sow the seeds. I'll then add some fertilizer and voila! Gardening all done.
Well, good luck with your garden, especially considering we're in the dry season and it won't rain for the next 3 months.
All right, we're back. So gardening is actually a very popular thing in many countries. I know many people as well who prefer to have their own personal garden to grow their own vegetables, which they say taste a lot different from the ones you buy at the supermarket.
They do. I think personally that homegrown vegetables, so vegetables that you grow yourself, tend to taste a lot better than the ones you get in the grocery store. They also look different. They're not as pretty.
Right.
But that's because they have less chemicals.
Yeah, I think it's a very popular thing, and well, not only gardening your own vegetables, but some people just enjoy it as a hobby to have some plants and different types of things in their backyard.
Yeah, many people say it's very relaxing. You get to go outside, you're in the sunshine. It's a very calming activity.
Yeah, it seems like it's very relaxing. A little bit boring at times. Is basically you're waiting for your plants to grow. But I imagine that once they do, you've accomplished it, it must feel great to see that you've actually brought life.
I'm sure, like 20 minutes every day, it's not so bad.
Yeah. It's actually a very interesting hobby, and we want to know if in your country or in your town, do you have enough space for a garden? Do you like gardening or maybe growing your own food? I think that's a very interesting topic.
Yeah, let us know what you think. Do you do this? Do you have friends who garden? Our website is englishpod.com. We hope to see you there.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Hello, everyone, and welcome to English Pod. My name is Marco.
My name is Catherine, and today we have an elementary level lesson for you. This one is especially for people who are interested in babies.
That's right. Maybe you have a baby, you will have a baby, maybe you're pregnant, and this is a great lesson for that because we are talking about a baby shower.
Okay, so before we get started, let's take a look at vocabulary preview and learn what exactly a baby shower is.
Vocabulary preview.
Okay, so a baby shower. You would think that this is about bathing the baby, about giving the baby a bath.
No, not a real shower. A baby shower or a bridal shower, these are parties.
Okay, they're parties. And on this case, a baby shower is a party that you throw for a woman that is pregnant, right?
That's right. So, if my sister is going to have a baby, I throw her a baby shower. It's a party where all of her friends give her gifts.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a way to celebrate having a baby.
Okay. So they give her gifts. You'll play games as well as to like maybe guess the name of the baby or guess the sex of the baby.
Exactly.
Stuff like that. Okay. So it's a very common thing. I think it's mostly for women. I don't really know if men have baby showers as well.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. But it's a very popular tradition in the United States and many other parts of the world. So we're going to talk about that. Let's listen to the dialogue for the first time.
Thank you for organising this great baby shower for me. I've always been to baby showers, but never actually had one held for me. Let's get started.
Okay, let's start opening some presents.
Oh, look! What a great little bib for the baby. This will definitely come in handy. Oh, wow, you also got me a stroller. That's so great. Thank you.
This next one is from Betty.
A high chair and a car seat. Wow, Betty, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
One more from Carla.
A playpen and crib? Thanks, Carla. This is just what I needed.
Okay, that's all of them. No more gifts. Now, who wants to guess when the baby is due?
I think my water just broke. Get me to a hospital!
All right, so very interesting, all the gifts that they got, and definitely very useful because this is a very common items that you get for babies, right?
That's right. All of this stuff is really, really valuable because if you have a baby or if your brother or sister has a baby, you'll notice that these are very common items. So let's go through a couple of them in today's language takeaway.
Language takeaway.
Okay, so the first word that we're going to take a look at, the most common one and useful one for a baby, is a bib.
Bib. So babies are messy. When they eat food, they get their food on their clothes. So to protect the clothes, babies wear bibs. This is a piece of cloth or fabric around their neck.
Okay, a bib. And also, sometimes you want to go out with your baby to the mall, you're walking, and you don't want to carry him in your arms all the time. So you need a stroller.
Okay, so basically a stroller is a chair on wheels for a baby. Babies are heavy, and as they get older, they get heavier. And so this is a way to push the baby around, not carry the baby.
Right, and maybe the baby falls asleep, so they can fall asleep in the stroller.
Exactly.
Okay. And while talking about chairs, we're going to take a look at two different types of chairs. The first one is a high chair.
Okay, a high chair. Think about the word high. That means tall in this case. A high chair is a chair for babies at the table. So if you put a baby on a regular chair, they can't eat with adults.
They're too small.
So we give them high chairs so that they can sit a little bit higher and they can be at the table with adults.
Exactly. So they're very common. For example, you go to a restaurant, they will have a little high chairs if you have a baby or a small child.
So if you're at a restaurant, you have a baby, you ask for a high chair. You say, do you have a high chair, please?
Yeah, perfect. And, well, if you're going to the restaurant or you go anywhere in your car, you need to have the baby be safe. And obviously, they can't fit on a normal, seat, right?
No, with the seat belt, no, I don't think so.
So that's why you get them a car seat.
Okay, a car seat is a special chair that goes on the seat of the car, and usually it's very, very safe. It's made to protect the baby.
Right. So if you are ever in a car accident, the car seat will help protect the small baby.
Right, and car seats are supposed to go in the back of the car, not the front.
Yes, always. Very good. And now moving on to our last two words. If you're at home, you sometimes want to have the baby play, and you get him a playpen.
So basically, this is a way for parents to leave the baby playing but not look at the baby the whole time.
Right.
A playpen is like a cage for a baby,
Yeah.
but it's soft and it's cute and it's pretty. And so it's basically like an open area that's protected on the sides, and the baby can go inside, but the baby can't leave.
Right. It's like a cage, basically, and it has little toys, and that's the way you just keep them in there for a while.
Exactly.
All right. And now when you want to put the baby to sleep, it can't obviously sleep in a big bed because it might roll over, it might fall off. There's a lot of things that can go wrong, so you get them a crib.
Right, so a crib is a bed for babies. This is usually high off the ground, and it's usually quite small, and the baby can't climb out of it.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a very safe bed, so the baby can't fall out, can't climb out.
Exactly.
Very good. So very interesting, very useful things for you if you're having a baby, planning on getting these things. So why don't we go back, listen to the dialogue again, and we'll be back with Fluency Builder.
Thank you for organising this great baby shower for me. I've always been to baby showers, but never actually had one held for me. Let's get started.
Okay, let's start opening some presents.
Oh, look! What a great little bib for the baby. This will definitely come in handy. Oh, wow, you also got me a stroller. That's so great. Thank you.
This next one is from Betty.
A high chair and a car seat. Wow, Betty, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
One more from Carla.
A playpen and crib? Thanks, Carla. This is just what I needed.
Okay, that's all of them. No more gifts. Now, who wants to guess when the baby is due?
I think my water just broke. Get me to a hospital!
Ah!
All right, we're back. So now let's take a look at two key phrases.
Fluency builder.
Okay, so at the beginning of the dialogue, the woman receives a bib for the baby, and she says, oh, this will definitely come in handy. To come in handy.
Right. So when something comes in handy, it means it will be useful.
Okay, so something that's handy is useful.
Yeah.
To come in handy means to be useful. It will be useful in the future.
So, for example, you should take a flashlight with you in the car, just in case, because it could come in handy.
That's right. Or if I know that Marco is traveling to India, I can give him a map of India. I say, Marco, this map might come in handy.
Exactly. Very good. So to come in handy, or in something that is handy, something that's useful. And towards the end, a very popular phrase, you probably heard it in every movie that has like maybe a pregnant woman in there.
Oh, yes.
My water just broke. My water broke.
Okay, so the woman says, my water broke. Take me to the hospital.
Right.
Okay, so this means I'm having my baby right now.
Mm-hmm. So why do they say that the water broke? Because actually water kind of breaks, right? I think there's a protective water cushion.
Basically, there's a sack of water protecting the baby. It's not just water. It's all sorts of like body fluids. And basically, when that breaks, it comes out and you know that you're going to have the baby. Because that means the baby has to come out now because that protective fluid is gone.
Maybe the baby just kind of kicks that water out and just like, I'm ready to come out.
I have no idea how it works.
All right, so very interesting stuff. Why don't we listen to the dialogue for the last time?
Thank you for organising this great baby shower for me. I've always been to baby showers, but never actually had one held for me. Let's get started.
Okay, let's start opening some presents.
Oh, look! What a great little bib for the baby. This will definitely come in handy. Oh, wow, you also got me a stroller. That's so great. Thank you.
This next one is from Betty.
A high chair and a car seat. Wow, Betty, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
One more from Carla.
A playpen and crib? Thanks, Carla. This is just what I needed.
Okay, that's all of them. No more gifts. Now, who wants to guess when the baby is due?
I think my water just broke. Get me to a hospital!
All right, so talking about baby things and baby showers, it's a very interesting tradition. I understand that in other countries, they don't really celebrate baby showers like this.
Really?
Yeah, or that if they do it in different ways. I know, for example, that sometimes in Latin American countries, they usually do it after the baby's born.
Oh, so like a congratulations shower.
Exactly. And then obviously you know if the baby was a boy or a girl, so then you get them like pink things or blue things, so it's a little bit more.
That's what's really funny about these. People often want to have the surprise of not knowing if the baby will be a boy or a girl. So when they have the baby shower, they say, oh, I don't know what the gender is.
Right.
And so you end up buying all of these yellow things because yellow is neutral. It's good for boys and girls.
Yeah.
I don't know how many yellow gifts I've gotten.
I think it's a very interesting thing because for example, I know that in China, I think you can't ask the doctor for the gender of the baby before it's born, right?
I think that's a way to... I'm not sure if it's a rule or not, but it sounds right. I mean, it's a way to protect female babies.
I think it would be always great to just have it be a surprise. Yeah,
you never know.
Yeah, just like, whatever comes out.
Can you imagine not knowing and then you have twins?
Or that would be great for me, I think, if I had like a boy and a girl, bam, all at once.
All at once, never have to worry about it again.
Exactly, and then you have best of both worlds, right?
Yeah.
You're done.
Yeah.
All right, so a very interesting topic. Let us know if you have baby showers in your country, or how do you celebrate a baby's birth or before it's born? What do you do?
Very good question. Let us know. Our website is englishpod.com. We hope to see you there.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to English Pod. My name is Marco.
My name is Catherine, and as you've probably noticed on our website, this is one of many different parts of a series all about having an interview in English. This is a job interview, and at this point, we're at about part 7.
That's right. So today what we're going to talk about is the key question whenever you're having a job interview is they ask you to describe your key strengths. And this is our word for vocabulary preview today, so let's take a look at it.
Vocabulary preview.
Okay, so you might have heard the word strength before. This is something that you're good at. And so key strength or key strengths, plural, would be things that you think are most important about you as far as the things that you do well.
That's right. So as we mentioned, your boss or your potential boss might ask you to describe your key strengths. So you're going to mention a lot of adjectives, positive adjectives, saying how good of a worker you are. So why don't we listen to our dialogue? Let's see what Rebecca has to say about her key strengths, and we'll look at those in a little bit.
Okay, Rebecca, now you've given me a good idea of your work and academic background, but what about you as a person? How would you describe your key strengths?
Well, Mr. Parsons, as I mentioned before, I'm someone who needs new challenges. I'm really focused and hardworking. I think my academic results prove this.
Yes, true. But how about other personal qualities?
Well, I believe I'm a good team player, but I can also work well independently. I'm very enthusiastic and, well, I hope my colleagues would agree. I'm fun to work with.
What would you say is your most positive quality?
That's a tough question. But I would have to say my passion. I'm really passionate about journalism and passionate about my career.
All right, so she obviously has a lot of good key strengths. Why don't we analyze a couple of those on language takeaway?
Language takeaway.
So one of the first things that Rebecca mentions is that she's really focused. Okay, so this word focused, what does this mean?
All right, so if a person is focused, basically you're saying that you concentrate on your work.
That's right, and someone who's focused might be very good in a noisy office or in a place that is full of distractions, like you said, because they don't stop their work and think about the noise or move around or go talk to people. Someone who is focused just sits down and can do a lot of work all at once.
That's right, so she describes herself as focused and hardworking.
So hardworking means basically what it sounds like, that someone works very hard. That means they put in a lot of hours. They can, they get their work done. They're really, really dependable.
That's right. So as you can see, we use the word hardworking together. So if you work hard, you don't say I work hard. You can say that, but if you want to use it as an adjective, you say I am hardworking.
The opposite, of course, would be lazy.
That's right. Okay. So we're focused, we're hardworking, and she also said that she is a good team player.
Okay, this is a really key phrase here because it's something that employers, so people who are hiring new staff, like to look out for, because most jobs you don't work alone, you work with other people. And so a team player is someone who works well in a group or works well with others.
That's right. So a team player, everyone wants to have a good team player working for their team, for their company. And apart from being a good team player, you also want to be enthusiastic.
That's right. So this means that you are interested in what you do. You are excited about it. It's not like, oh, God, I have to do this report. It's like, oh, wow, I get to do this report. I'm enthusiastic. I'm really interested. I'm going to put a lot of energy into it.
That's right. Okay, so an enthusiastic person not only can be about working, you can be enthusiastic about anything, about, painting your house, about going on a trip.
Exactly. Enthusiastic.
All right, and our last word for language takeaway is also a good quality to have if you are passionate about what you do or what you're doing.
So someone who is passionate about something really, really likes that thing. That means that they love to do it or love to see it. Passion is the opposite of not interested. Okay, so you're really, really emotional and excited and interested in something.
That's right. So you are passionate about something. It comes from the noun passion. So you have a passion for painting. Maybe you love to paint. So you're very passionate about painting. So a lot of great adjectives there to describe yourself in a good way. Why don't we listen to our dialogue again, and we'll be back with Fluency Builder.
Okay, Rebecca, now you've given me a good idea of your work and academic background, but what about you as a person? How would you describe your key strengths?
Well, Mr. Parsons, as I mentioned before, I'm someone who needs new challenges. I'm really focused and hardworking. I think my academic results prove this.
Yes, true. But how about other personal qualities?
Well, I believe I'm a good team player, but I can also work well independently. I'm very enthusiastic and, well, I hope my colleagues would agree. I'm fun to work with.
What would you say is your most positive quality?
That's a tough question. But I would have to say my passion. I'm really passionate about journalism and passionate about my career.
All right, so on Fluency Builder today, we've picked out 3 key phrases. Let's take a look at the first one when Rebecca said, I'm someone who needs new challenges.
Okay, so this structure, I'm someone who, is something that you hear a lot of, and you can actually fill in the end of that sentence with a number of different phrases. So in here, we heard, I'm someone who needs new challenges. We could also say, I'm someone who needs structure.
All right, so we can also change the verb, right, from needs to, I'm someone who likes a challenge. Or maybe Tracy is someone who requires a lot of attention.
Right, so this is a way to introduce a characteristic of yourself. So you're telling people something about yourself.
Okay, very good. So moving on, we also saw that Rebecca said that she is fun to work with. I'm fun to work with.
Okay, so let's just treat this like a little fixed phrase. We say this about people all the time. He's fun to work with. She's fun to work with. Or this group is really fun to work with. They're all really fun to work with.
So that means that it's not serious, that you really enjoy doing it. So it's a little fixed phrase that you can use to say that, you know, it's nice to work with Rebecca, or that she's very, you know, not serious, not a mean person.
That's right. And finally, we have a phrase at the end. Rebecca here's a question she thinks is very difficult. She calls it a tough question. And so a tough question is something that is very hard to answer.
That's right. She says, that's a tough question. So she's basically acknowledging the fact that the question is difficult, a tough question. Now we can combine this word tough with other things.
That's right. You can say it's a tough situation. That means it's a hard situation to handle. You could also say he's having a tough time. That means that right now in his life, there are many things that are difficult for him. And so tough means difficult or hard or unpleasant.
Okay, very good. So a lot of good stuff coming from Rebecca, mentioning all the positive things about her. Why don't we listen to our dialogue one last time?
Okay, Rebecca, now you've given me a good idea of your work and academic background, but what about you as a person? How would you describe your key strengths?
Well, Mr. Parsons, as I mentioned before, I'm someone who needs new challenges. I'm really focused and hardworking. I think my academic results prove this.
Yes, true. But how about other personal qualities?
Well, I believe I'm a good team player, but I can also work well independently. I'm very enthusiastic and, well, I hope my colleagues would agree. I'm fun to work with.
What would you say is your most positive quality?
That's a tough question. But I would have to say my passion. I'm really passionate about journalism and passionate about my career.
All right, so talking about key strengths, I think it's always difficult to talk about yourself and still sound a little bit humble, right? To not sound like arrogant, like saying I'm the best.
Right. Well, that's the key here, I think. You want to say really good things about yourself because you're a salesperson and you're selling your personality. But at the same time, you don't want to sound like a jerk.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the best, I'm so smart, I'm so clever. That's a little bit off-putting. It makes people uncomfortable. So I think the trick is a balance.
Right. And I guess if you use words such as this, like, you know, I'm focused, I'm hardworking, I'm independent, I have a passion for this, it makes you sound like, you know, like you're a really good worker, but you're not arrogant. You're not saying, oh, well, you know, I'm I'm the best of what I do or something like that.
Right. So you're basically saying these are my skills, but, obviously I'm not the only person who has these great skills.
That's right. Okay, so that's all the time we have for today. Be sure to join us next week. We're also going to have kind of part 2 of this when we talk about our weaknesses. So this time we talked about our strengths. Then we'll talk about weaknesses.
That's right. So we hope that you will check out our website, EnglishPod.com. If you have questions or comments, leave them there for us, and we'll be in touch very soon.
All right. We'll see you guys there.
Bye.
Bye.